just so grateful for the lights because they've given me back my husband. About 14 years ago, he and my son were skateboarding, and he got going too fast backwards downhill and jumped off the skateboard and did the splits and tore every muscle in his groin and his hamstring. And for about 10 years he was in chronic pain with acupuncture treatments, massage therapy, physical therapy. Nothing had helped, and he was at a level 7, 8, or 9 in pain most days. And after being on the lights, just for the first time, it dropped the pain levels down to 2 or 3. And we ended up buying a set so that he could use them daily. And we were hoping for cumulative healing, but it didn't happen. But at least the lights are able to manage the pain on a daily basis. So it's just been wonderful.
I'm a CTO of a technology company and experience, the rigors of trying to make money in a high-tech world, which tends to bring a little bit of stress into my day. So our experience with the lights, or at least mine personally, was I get on the lights and I take a vacation. I use a vacation setting on them, and have found that my blood pressure before and after is drastically different. And so just seeing my body find that place of relaxation and healing was pretty impressive, pretty incredible. So we definitely love our lights.
Well, I love my lights. I use them all the time. I especially travel with them a lot, and I've had to do a lot of traveling. When I took my naturopathic board exam a couple of weeks ago, I had it and used it to help keep me calm, keep me focused. And also in July, when my mom passed away under some really tragic circumstances, I was able to use those too to help keep me calm and get me through to do what I needed to do.
So I have a 6-year-old grandson who is 6 now. 4 years ago, he had orbital cellulitis in his eye. So he was 4 years old at the time. 2 years old, whatever. Anyway, they had to bring him to Salt Lake to have surgery on the one eye. They fixed it, put him on antibiotics. Pretty traumatic for the whole family. Couple months later, my daughter called. She lived in another little town away from us. She called and said, "Mommy's getting it in the other eye. What do I do?" And I said, "Well, we'll bring you the blue light." We had a set of the lights. We had just gotten a blue pad, and so we took the blue pad to her, and she put the blue pad right here beside his face, not directly over his eye, but right here by his face. His eye was swollen, almost completely swollen shut. It was red, inside, outside, had fever in it. We were thinking another trip for surgery, the whole bit. So she used those lights on him. Being 2 years old, she only used them for a couple of minutes at a time. She used them about 3 times. The next day when he woke up, his eyes were bright, the swelling was gone, the redness was gone. It was great. So they definitely work. The blue light's amazing for skin issues. Then we also have a friend who had a young child, her grandson, that had fever blisters. He broke out with fever blisters inside and outside of his mouth. She called and said, "What can I do?" She said, "I've tried everything. He's been to the doctor. He can't eat. He can't drink. It's horrible." So we told her, use the blue light. So she took the blue light home with her. She used it on him 3 different times, sent us a picture, and after 3 times of using the light within a period of a day and a half, the swelling was gone, the blisters were gone, the small child was back to normal. So they're amazing, absolutely amazing.
All right, so on Tuesday of this week, today's Friday, I was out with my wife. We're going for a nice little bike ride, and I thought I was a 22-year-old and saw this sweet hill with a path. Thought I would go down it. I remember thinking, I should probably ask her to use her helmet. I didn't have a helmet. I was an idiot. Anyway, I go down way too fast. There's a bump or jump kind of 3/4 of the way down. I launch off, fly in the air, bash my head, crush my shoulder. Wind's knocked out of me for a good 10 seconds. I try to get up. I couldn't even get up my first attempt. Anyway, regardless, I end up going to the ER. have a pretty severe concussion. I'm about to pass out in the AR. My left field is all blurry. I can't see anything. I get a couple staples in my head. Doctors were pretty concerned at first. They did a CT scan, x-rays. Luckily, nothing, no broken bones. So I was so blessed there. A lot of road rash. And next day, I just feel like I got hit by a Mack truck. And this is what, day 3? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So like day 3 after the accident. I'm still very, very sore. My spine has some soreness, bruising. My shoulder's really bad. My chest has pretty good bruising too. Anyway, yesterday I was fuzzy, foggy all day. The doctor said with a concussion, you're going to kind of get some fuzziness, some fogginess, some lapse of memory. I was just really out of it all day. And then I talked to Marta about the light. She told me about the proprioception setting 6 for alignment. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And so I did it. You move the pads a few different places on setting 6. And right after, I felt so much better. I felt clearer. I felt more focused. I did an inflammation setting 2 after that. And I felt really good. And then went to bed. Woke up at like 5 in the morning. My mind was just going with ideas, like just buzzing. I've been up ever since. And so, I have never really needed the lights for that, but I'm setting 6. I'm going to use it a lot. But I have nothing but awesome things to say about the lights. They're amazing for relaxation, for just de-stressing the body. I've seen really big miracles. People with spinal cord. I gotta go do proprioception again. Spinal cord damage. People with nerve damage that have a lot of relief. But yeah, nothing but really good things to say about the lights. They're amazing. I love my lights.
The first thing that I noticed after using the lights for about probably a week every day was not something that I expected. All of a sudden, I realized I had absolutely 0 allergy symptoms, which had been, this was early spring, probably in sometime in March, maybe late March. And I had been for about 2 weeks really starting to build some serious allergic momentum. And it was kind of an afterthought. It just came to me one day that all of a sudden that I didn't have any of those symptoms anymore, and I haven't had any allergy, hay fever whatsoever at all summer long. The next thing that happened was a couple brought their little miniature pinscher to me. He had undergone some type of surgery, and post-surgery started to have seizures, and he had a small stroke, and his head was badly tilted to one side and kind of dropped. He came for about 8 sessions. We only gave him, and I tried different settings, but we only gave him, maybe 5 minutes at a time, because of course he's a tiny little guy. And at the end of the 8 sessions, which were over about a period of, a month, maybe 3 weeks, his head started to come back up straighter than it was. It was marked improvement. The other thing that I just did with my own experiment for myself was a very bad split in my heel, a dry heel. That happens during the summer wearing sandals and whatnot. It was excruciating. And I tried every salve, everything I could think of for about 2 or 3 weeks or so with no results. And all of a sudden, here I'm using my lights every day anyway on my hips and my pains and I was doing the alignment every day as well. And all of a sudden I realized, oh, I can slip a sleeve over the blue pad and use it on my heel. I ran the 20-minute setting, don't remember which one it was. And by the end of that night, that day, that sore, that split was closing up, and the pain was gone. I think these have been the most immediate results in light use that I've had. Other things that I've concentrated on personally for myself have taken a little bit longer, but I've noticed marked improvement in some hip stiffness and pain that I've had. And I can get relief for other things that come up. I'm finding that other issues that arise, aches and pains, are greatly relieved. And I'm using the lights instead of aspirin, ibuprofen, things like that. That's what I've noticed so far in the 5 months that I've been using lights.
I've been doing the healing lights for approximately a year, and most of my work is done by proxy. So what I have people do is send me a photograph of them, and I put their picture on the lights. And most people have seen some results from that. One lady that I've been working with, she's been on kidney dialysis for probably about a year, and I put her picture on the lights every day, and the frequencies in which I do through muscle testing, and she's getting stronger. She's able to walk more. She has less swelling. Her daughter-in-law told me the other day that she actually saw a vein in her foot, which she hasn't seen veins in her feet for months and months. And so their family is very pleased at her progress that they're seeing from doing the lights. And I believe in the lights, and I think that they're a great product and a natural product to help with our healing and rejuvenating our bodies.
I have a friend that introduced me to lights. She told me, I was going to a conference and I said, I just don't have the energy. I just don't think I can do it. She says, you've got to come and try my lights. So I did. I drove up and tried her lights, did the rental program for 2 weeks. And of course, I didn't want to give the lights back, so I purchased them. My main issues were, I had several. I had very low energy. I basically had a lot of old viruses that were trapped in my body that had not been able to find a way to get out. And I believe that the lights provided the way to get these old viruses that were sluggish and not serving me at all into my circulatory system and out of my body. I have been able to deal with some other issues besides the fatigue, some depression, some other issues that I feel the lights have helped me get back in balance, get my body back in a state of homeostasis and moving forward. And I can tell when I don't use my lights. On days that I use them, I'm much better off. If I forget for a few days or I think I'm too busy, then I notice that, over an extended period of time, I notice that I really do need to get back on my lights because the body is always trying to get rid of waste and trying to be its best. So I think the nitric oxide issue with lights is huge. And I firmly believe in them, and I think everyone should own them.
It's difficult for me to say just one thing about the light energy and the light energy therapy. It was such a wonderful day when it came into my life because my husband had suffered a clot, and his leg was so swollen that I was really frightened. And someone had taken the time, my friend Sandy, to tell me about the lights. And that's why I have now been spending my life telling other people about these lights, because she cared enough for me to share with me. And so I knew immediately when Eric had this clot and his leg was so swollen that that's what I needed to do, is put light on it. So sometimes when we're sharing with people, it seems like it's not going anywhere, like they're not really listening. But deep inside, we are getting the message across if we're coming from our hearts. So when you are thinking about lights and you're thinking about talking to your friends or your family, don't hesitate, but don't put any strings on it. Because if they don't respond right away, it's okay. All your job is, or all my job is just to let them know that this light energy therapy thing exists. Because sometimes it's really new to them. So my testimonial is that I feel younger. I don't have pain, rarely have pain. And when I do, I just think, put the lights on it. So I love feeling younger with the light energy in my life. I love looking somewhat younger than my 75 years. But even so, I don't mind looking 75 if I feel like I'm about 40. So I love the lights for that. I love them because they're a tool I can share. And I just love having my family all using lights because I know it will hold them in good stead now and for many, many years to come. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to tell you why I love the lights.
Last year in July, my husband experienced a ruptured disc, and he was on a workman's comp thing, so he had to go and do some physical therapy, which then he didn't actually end up doing. And we treated it pretty much only with lights and ice. And it took us about 2 months, but he is completely recovered, and we even had to move all the furniture in half of our house just recently to redo the floors, and we both moved all the furniture, and he had no problems or anything. He has no residual effects or anything. After we did get him well, he fell off a ladder and re-injured it, and that took us a little longer to get him back, but it was pretty remarkable. Lights followed by ice, and he did the lights probably for an hour 2 times a day. One of my clients had a stroke, and she was having, in her words, she said she felt wonky, like just off balance, like she wasn't herself, and she was having problems with her left arm, with weakness and being able to use it. And she came in twice a week for light therapy, and within a month we had her working again and completely able to use her left hand and arm. And on the second treatment, she said that she felt like her brain went from being like this to just opening up and relaxing. So it was a really wonderful experience watching that. Also, I had another client who, this was years ago, and she was only in her 40s, and she had a heart attack, and she was starting to have symptoms that were very similar to what she had when she had her first heart attack. And she went to her doctor, and her doctor said, "Oh no, you're okay, you're not gonna have another heart attack." But she felt that for sure she had one looming over her. So she started coming in for light therapy, and all of the symptoms that she was having in her clavicle area and in her arm totally disappeared. So she bought her own light therapy system, and she was using it every single day. And they used to have a hard time getting blood out of her veins. She said that they were so constricted that they would have to send a specialist in to get blood whenever she got her tests. And she had used her light therapy that morning, went to get a blood test, had forgotten to drink water. Usually she would have to drink a gallon of water practically before she went for her blood test, and she didn't. And she went in, and the girl was able to get blood with no problem because her blood vessels were so dilated and so open. So that's my 3 most incredible experiences with the light. And there are many more people saving themselves from needing knee replacement surgeries with the lights. And also I have a client that's type 1 diabetic, had a wound on his toe that wouldn't heal. And his sister bought him some treatments to come in and have light therapy, and we got it healed in like 5 sessions.
Okay, so probably one of the most profound things that has happened with my clients. I have a lot of clients, and I have a woman that I've been working with MS for probably the last 20 years, and she's done really well. I mean, she pays attention to her diet, does all these kind of things, but one of the situations that's happening with her is that the right side of her body was always numb. She just had not had feeling for probably the best part of 30 years. So about a year and a half ago, I started working with her with the lights, just using B and C, the relaxation, the ones that were programmed in the pure component. And she was noticing that her fatigue was lifting, that she was a little bit more energy, that kind of thing. Well, then her daughter became engaged, and her goal was that she really wanted to participate as the mother of the bride, that kind of thing. So I started doing some investigating, and I was able through resources to find the specific code or the specific frequencies, sweeps for MS. And so, I said, let's give it a try. She was excited. She got on my table, and we did a 20-minute session. That night she calls me, and she said, I don't know what to think about this, but my right thumb, I have feeling. And I was like, oh my gosh. And she said, do you think this is going to last? What's going to happen? I said, I don't know. She came in the next day. We did it again. And progressively, she got to the point where she had feeling on the right side of her body. And actually, she started coming and using the lights 3 times a week. She was not in a position to purchase the lights at that point, so she was just coming and seeing me. And we were doing this for probably 6 weeks. The result of it is that when her daughter got married, first part of July last year, she was actually able to dance at her daughter's wedding with full feeling, her right side. She participated, mother of the bride, the whole thing. It was wonderful.